show.
Yep, first on Netflix. It's on Hulu. They released the first 2 or 3 episodes last week. They're releasing another one this week, and they're going to kind of do every Wednesday for a bit. So Reem and I are going to try and get caught up so that we're actually releasing an episode on Castle Rock the week it comes out. So try to keep up with the show. So we'll be having a couple double episode weeks.
That's good. Yeah, with Hulu you can do that because they don't put them all out at the same time. So in case people don't know, Castle Rock is this show based on the Stephen King universe, right? But is it like original stories?
So far, it feels like it. Yeah, there's a few references here and there to kind of the Stephen King universe, at least in the first episode. So I'm not sure if they're going to go real deep or if they're going to kind of go way deep or what the cuts will be for that. But so far, it's good.
It's exciting.
I kind of equate it to like if you like American Horror Story kind of thing, like it kind of has that feel to me.
Is it that deranged and fucked up?
Not too dark, but just that kind of on edge feel that I got watching American Horror Story.
I gotta watch that.
Agreed. It's really good.
Awesome. I can't wait. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it and follow along with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. So yeah, even if you're not like a really big Stephen King fan, I think that you can still enjoy it. They try to keep it, if you're just a fan of like that horror genre,
dark
that
horror,
you can still you can still enjoy it. But if you're a big Stephen King fan, then you'll appreciate how it brings together his universe and the Easter eggs and things like that. So there's something for everyone. So you don't have to be. I think some people think, oh well, I'm not a big Stephen King fan, I can't watch it. That's not true. If you're a fan of the genre, you'll enjoy it because it's nice and dark and twisty.
Super cool. I have a request for you guys, if you will cover Lock and Key when it comes out, and can I be a frequent guest?
Is it out yet or is it about to?
No, I think
it was just announced on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. I think so Lock and Key, you guys listening may have heard me talk about this occasionally. Really incredible comic, one of the best comics I've ever read. It was one thing I really like about it is it was long, but it had an end, a beginning, middle, and end, and now it's over pretty much. And it's done by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. And it's beautiful art and just a really interesting, great story, and dark and twisty, but also with heart to it. And they've been trying to get a TV show going for years, but finally Netflix recently announced that they're going to be doing a show on it. And I don't know if they said when, but I get the feeling it's not going to be for a while.
Okay, because it was rumored to be like, didn't Hulu have a thing in it, like an actual big network? Or am I making that
they
up?
did a Fox pilot like 5 years ago or something, and then it didn't go to series, and then they were working on something with Hulu recently, and then somehow it petered out. But the story, I mean, it's been a while since I read it, but it's got this family who moves into their home of their it's like been in their family for years, but it's this old, like, scary mansion kind of place. And there's these keys, but they have different properties. Like one, if you open a door with it, it will be like a teleport. So you walk through the door and you can end up in some different place somewhere else. But another key,
girls' locker room.
yeah. I think you might be able to think about, or one key you open yourself, and then like a ghost version of you comes out, and your just body is laying there. But my favorite key, I hope I'm not giving too much away. Everyone will forget everything I said by the time this comes out. But you plug it into the back of your head and open it up, and your head like kind of opens up, kind of like a flip top cookie jar or something. And you can look inside and see kind of metaphorically what's in your brain and your personality, like little people walking around, or and you can like put things in there or take things out. So you can like take out all your fear, and then you're not afraid anymore. It's just weird stuff like that.
That's pretty trippy, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
it sounds interesting.
It's really cool.
I guess it depends on the timing of it. I don't know that they'll release it at the same time as like if they do Stranger Things or something and do around the same time, so it doesn't take focus off of any of their other shows. But we'll have to be looking for when they eventually release it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I bet you they would try not to put it out during Stranger Things, because that's one cool thing about your podcast, Strange Indeed, where you kind of cover thematically dark shows. Because mostly on Netflix, because I think that Netflix, maybe they won't put two big high profile ones of those out at the same time.
I hope so, because with Castle Rock, it's kind of replacing Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale, the second season just went off air like a couple weeks ago, so this is
on Hulu.
The shows. Yeah, I know, another hard show to watch. So yeah, I think that they've released it. It's also released every Wednesday, like Handmaid's Tale, and they released the first 3 episodes, I think, to kind of get people hooked on it, and then they're doing the weekly release. So they are sticking to that same schedule, and I think it's just a temporary replacement since that just went off air. So yeah, I guess it depends on when they release it. I'll keep an eye on it because I'm interested.
All right. Well, I haven't said it yet, but this episode, we did an episode like this last year. Maybe it's an annual tradition, I don't know, but it's going to be our Comic-Con / Walking Dead Fear the Walking Dead trailer show, where we just go over stuff that came out at Comic-Con that we thought was interesting or cool that we're looking forward to, and then we'll also talk about the Walking Dead and Fear the Walking trailers that came out at Comic-Con. Yeah, that's it. So let's get going. Why don't we start with the Walking Dead season 9 trailer? It seemed to have a pretty good reaction. What I saw online, people were saying things like, "Oh, I was over the show, but this actually looks cool. Maybe I'll get back into it," stuff like that. What was your initial reaction after watching it the first time?
My initial reaction was probably equal amongst many others that had watched it and that had gotten excited. But then a few minutes after my excitement kind of wore down, I realized that the folks at AMC or the powers that be, whomever it is that's editing these trailers together, have a knack for getting me really excited for a season. Because I was really excited for the last season as well, and then it started and I got really pissed off and was let down a lot during last season. So that kind of brought me back down, oh, okay, yeah, that was a good few minutes, but let's not have your expectations too high for the season. Let's keep it real, and let's just not get too pumped, and let's just see what happens when it comes, because I'm still really upset about the news. I'm sure we'll talk about it. We don't talk about it right now, but with the news that had come out, which we already knew, but it was officially announced during Comic-Con. I'm still kind of hanging on to that, which has me really bummed out.
Yeah, that's a good point about trailers. You really can't put too much stock in them. And at some point during this podcast, I'm going to talk about what we said we were excited about last time and how those things panned out last year. But I'll mention right now, one of them was Justice League. Oh, it looks so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, poo.
There were some good parts.
Well, damn it, Wonder Woman was in it, and that was still really awesome. She's amazing. I don't give a shit what movie she's in. She's amazing. So,
well, Wonder Woman's also one of the things that we were talking about last year because it hadn't come out yet, and that totally did pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not all bummers. What about you, Sean? What do you think of the trailer?
I kind of agree with Rima. The last, 3 to 4 years, whenever Walking Dead releases their big Comic-Con trailer, I get pumped for it. But at this point, I kind of well, you burned me once, you burned me twice. I kind of need to be won back over. It's kind of like the girl that you're hanging out with that, she goes out, she, doesn't return your text, and then she finally does, and you kind of okay, well, I'll go back and hang out with you. I'm gonna watch the show. I keep watching the show, but unfortunately, it's last year and the year before really felt like I had to make an effort to watch it, and it's just because it feels to me like they're kind of playing the same themes. And with this one, there's some cool stuff that kind of seems to be happening. I mean, one thing from the comic that was cool, I won't go into too much spoilers, I guess, or any at all, but just when you see these communities starting to exist a little bit more and kind of playing a bigger part and kind of almost becoming a part of the story, I hope they play on that a little bit. There's a cool little opening with the jail visit I really liked. The music seemed kind of interesting. You see a sign on a windmill, which was kind of cool. But the piece that really kind of made me feel just was when we get Rick and Daryl riding together on the motorcycle. I don't know why, but I felt like they were like bro riders. And at some point, like when they're riding, I'm waiting for Daryl just to be like, "Hold me tighter, Rick."
Yeah, and Rick's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom," and Daryl's like, "Just go,
Just go,
Just
brother.
go, man.
Just go.
They show up at the sanctuary. We're there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought that was kind of funny, a funny scene. They're really, I think, trying to show, hey, we're bringing, we know you guys like the early season and there's certain characters that you guys like, so we're focusing on them. There was a lot of Carol in there too. And I actually think, hey, we'll go ahead and say, because you guys, we've already been very forthright about talking. Andrew Lincoln has said he's leaving the show this season. It's been in the news, and so there's no avoiding it. So we want to instead really address it and process it versus trying to treat it like we do all the other spoilers and not talk about it. So anyways, the reason why I bring that up is just because I think it's cool to have some Daryl and Rick time before it's too late,
But do you feel like that's kind of a wasted opportunity, them actually saying that? I mean, I guess maybe in this day and age they couldn't keep it quiet, but I feel like that would, we all kind of knew it was going to happen with Carl as it led up to it.
I didn't.
I mean, there was maybe I was a couple weeks behind. I can't remember, but I felt like a lot of his contract talk was starting to come out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And if I have to really say what bugs me the most about this show is it seems like it's the only show that I know of where you constantly hear about contract talks and how I feel like that influences the story a lot.
And lately, more, yeah.
Yeah, more lately,
It
yeah.
sucks.
But I mean,
I don't think that's the case with Andrew Lincoln, though. I mean, I do think that probably it made it easier for him to leave because Chandler's off the show. And so he's like, well, he said before, once Carl goes, I think that's, time for Rick to go too. But I also don't think it's about a contract with him at all. I think he just feels like, hey, man, I've been doing this show for 8 years now. That's enough.
Oh, it's totally about family for him. I mean, that's what he said at Comic-Con in the news. Is it's he's filming in Atlanta. His family's in London. He's there for half a year. The shooting schedule for Walking Dead is so long, and he's away from his kids. I mean, I'm sure that they try to visit when they can, but as he stated, his kids are getting older. It's harder and harder to to travel with them because I'm sure as kids get older, they have more and more commitments, like with school or sports or just other things, and it's harder to transport them back and forth and to visit. So he said it's all about family. And I mean, I feel, and I've said this before, I mean, I have felt this announcement has been coming for a couple of years, because if you really read his interviews, you can just, I don't know, I sensed a tone, I sensed something different with him. And then he actually said that I saw in a story earlier today that he said that he's been trying to leave since season 4.
Oh, wow.
I think what he said was he had it in mind. His end.
Well, he approached to them.
Yeah,
he talked to them since season 4.
I don't think he was saying, "Can I please get out of here this season?" I think he was saying, "Hey, let's have an eye for my exit. Maybe it'll be in a few years, And so now here it is.
Yeah, not necessarily. I went out today. It has been okay. What are we thinking as an end for Rick and trying to work towards that? It's probably taken slightly longer than what he would have liked.
Right.
But he's been talking about it since season 4, trying to work towards it.
But he wanted it to fit in the story because he's such a nice guy. He couldn't just say, I miss my family, man. Let me go. He was like, well, is it going to be okay if I leave at some point?
Sure.
But, I was just thinking, like, Chandler Riggs leaving, that was, even though there was all this contract kind of clues and hints, still, I always considered him untouchable. And so it shocked me when we saw that bite. Even though they said, oh, see, to the end, there's something shocking at the end, I was still shocked. But once that happened, now I think that actually helped me be more okay with Andrew Lincoln's exit, because once Carl's gone, it's like, anything's possible. And also, the show's kind of in decline, and I feel like I want Andrew Lincoln to have time with his family and also to see what other things he'll do acting-wise. So I'm totally cool with it. I mean, for me, it almost feels like, okay, it's like the show is kind of over, but it's still going. So we'll see what they do with it. It's almost like a license to be like, oh, well, let's just see what else they're going to do here. It's almost like this is kind of weird, but and I've never done this, but if someone like tried to kill themselves and then they didn't succeed, then they're like, oh, the rest of my life is just kind of like a bonus, you know? So that's kind of what The Walking Dead's gonna, I think, feel like to me after Andrew Lincoln leaves.
I guess the part that I'm a little nervous about, like you see this a lot, and I don't want to really call it a soap opera because I know there's been like big name people that call this a zombie soap opera. But I mean, you see that in soap operas a lot where it's, you know, a 30-year running show and it's the same storyline, just different people put in.
Yeah. George Romero said that, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd get nervous that Walking Dead's going to turn into that, which, you know, I mean, if they're still pulling in a couple million people a week or whatever, it's probably worth it. I mean, they've got 2 shows that are doing okay. I mean, what's it hurt to keep doing this if the audience is showing up? I mean, there's so many things that are like that. I've told Rima,
it's not
like,
very inspiring, though.
I know. I mean, that's what, and you'll lose people, but people will show up. And I think we talked about it a little bit last year, and so it's kind of a broken record. But when you have so many good shows, like I think of like instantly Game of Thrones and, you know, Westworld. Those are 2 shows that I don't want to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's
really,
a ton.
really good.
Well, look, you mentioned communities, and I'm going to talk a little bit more detail about the trailer here because I do feel like we're really shifting. Maybe not thematically. There's some of the same themes that just keep popping up in the show, but story-wise, we're moving to a new thing here. Negan's there, but he's captured, and I think he's, at least for a while, going to be, you know, not the main thrust of the story. What I saw in the trailer was that the conflict now is going to be, because it's all about growing into a civilization. I mean, you could tell there's a time jump because when Rick's talking to Negan, he's saying, it's been a while since we've had one of these talks. So obviously there's some time in between. Plus Maggie has her baby finally. Anyways, the conflict seems to come inside the communities as they're growing, the struggles. Like you see Rick say something like, we need to all work together. And then the very next scene is like 2 groups of people fighting each other. Yeah. And then there's Maggie, the conflict between Maggie and Rick, and Michonne's trying to get Maggie to agree to some rules among the different communities, which makes me think, you know, Maggie's probably in charge of Hilltop still. And there seems to be tension there. So I think at least to me, the best thing about the trailer is that it felt like, okay, we're moving on to something different, you know, and it's even in some ways different than anything we've ever seen on the show before. Right. So I agree. That's great.
I think it'd be kind of interesting. You take like events throughout history, and that's kind of what you're seeing here. Like you're seeing these different tribes, these different almost, you know, these communities are almost their own country and trying to figure out how they should rule this new world. And I always thought would be interesting to kind of play on that where, you know, like, what are you loyal to? Are you loyal to this like grander idea, or are you loyal to your group, your tribe, or your country to, you know, to an extent, even though this is kind of a smaller scale? You know, it seems like these themes throughout, you know, human history keep repeating themselves. And that's kind of like what you would see here. You know, it's Kirkman's never ending zombie movie. And, you know, at some point you would get to this where things are stable enough. Okay, well, now we have to redo society. How do we want to redo society?
I mean, my theory on the book has always been, and the show until now, that this is, in hindsight, we're going to realize the story of Rick Grimes, the man who brought civilization back after the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. You know, and so we're seeing, I mean, the way he's done it sort of feels like cheating because they keep finding these bigger communities and then taking them over versus building them. But now it looks like they're actually doing some building. So that's kind of cool. But Rima, I'm curious with you. I know you've told me this before, but I can't totally remember. Like when I ask what had you really disenchanted with season 8 so much, what stands out the most?
From season 8?
The last season, yeah.
Gosh.
Because you said you obviously have like, you know, you're like, oh, I was so mad.
Yeah. And, you know, to point out the specific things, because I've literally just kind of tried to forget a lot of what happened because I was because I was just so pissed about many things, but to sit here and call all of them out,
is there like one major thing?
I think one of the major things is just how drawn out it was. I really was kind of hoping for, instead of the entire whole all-out war drama to be played out throughout the entire season. I was really hoping that it would be wrapped up a little faster. I guess I can see how this season, it's like a brand new season. We keep hearing that from Angela Kang, the new showrunner, how this is a new Walking Dead. It's a brand new show. We've lost Carl. We know that we're losing Andrew Lincoln. And there's this huge shift. And so I can appreciate where this new season is going, and I think that's probably where my issue was with last season, is things just kept dragging on. And I realized that when you go back that, the entirety of the last season was probably only, 3-4 weeks or something. It was actually a short amount of time, but to us, it just seemed drawn out because it was a whole season. So I get that, but I still think that it could have been done better. I think some of the writing was a little bit lazy in some places. I did not like losing Carl. I mean, I wasn't a huge Carl fan, but I just thought it wasn't done very well. I thought that it could have been handled better. And so that's my big thing, is I just don't like how the whole season was drawn out, and some parts were lazy.
Yeah, the part about it being drawn out, I hope they learned a lesson from that. That's the lesson I hope they learn the most, because I do think that, okay, that's over. We're not doing war with Negan anymore. We're moving on to something else, but will they draw it out for a whole season? Well, we know that Rick is only in a handful of episodes, Andrew Lincoln. So
yeah,
there'll be a shift after that too.
He's already done filming.
We'll be in unknown territory after that, because he's still alive in the comics. So
I know. Well, and that was the same thing with Carl too. I mean, yeah. Carl is still alive in the comics, and then what you said was right. Losing Carl, it kind of feels like, I know we've been taught that for years now, nobody's safe, but you still didn't quite believe it. Now you really do believe that no one's safe. And we don't know what's going to happen to Andrew Lincoln. We know that he's leaving the show, but we don't know how he's leaving the show. We don't know if are they going to kill him? Is he just going to leave like Morgan did? What's exactly going to happen? I'm not saying he's going to
on Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah,
that'd be insane.
I'm not saying he's going to fear. Although there is a cryptic statement that he made that really makes me wonder what the hell Andrew Lincoln is throwing out there. Because now I'm thinking, damn it, don't tease me like that. But anyway.
Was it where he said something to the effect of like,
where he
says, this isn't the final part of me playing this character, or something along those lines?
He says, yeah, I'm not done with this character or something.
Yeah, he just says, this is my last season on The Walking Dead, is what he says.
He just means that he'll still have a relationship with the fandom and stuff like that.
It's possible. They are talking about a lot of these spinoffs.
Yeah, next spinoff is Walking Dead in Heaven, and they'll just have all the dead characters.
Right. Maybe, like I said, I don't know how he's going out, but I'm just saying, it's we know that he's leaving, but we don't know how, and I don't know about this new season. I just don't know how much I can watch after Rick goes. To me, he's the anchor. And I don't know.
I think the best spinoff that we can hope for is basically when it's Shane and Rick the early years. It's like a buddy cop TV show. They get into wacky situations,
putting their fries in each other's ketchup.
I think if they could film in London, that might be an opportunity for him.
Right. He looks so much older now, though. What about, before we move on, because we've been talking about this for a while, anything else in particular in the trailer that really stood out? One thing for me is, I think Daryl, as he has often been, is kind of the fly in the ointment here, because he's not in the comics. And in the trailer, he's complaining, hey, remember back when we first started this, it was a small group, and that's the way it should be. We could accomplish anything. This doesn't feel right. So he's sort of, against, sounds like, these bigger communities and stuff. And so that might be interesting to see how that plays out differently from the comics, I guess. Also from the comics, there's Magna and her group, who comic readers will know, Luke, Kelly, Yumiko, and Connie. And I'll name them. It doesn't really give the plot away, but the fucking Whisperers. If you watch the last few seconds of the trailer and listen closely, you will hear one of the Zeds say, "Where are they?" And I think it's Eugene freaking out. He's hiding nearby. I'm not going to say anything else about that, but
that is the thing that'll suck me back in, because when you read that, like it's not as scary. It's like, okay, well, that's weird. But when you hear it, because
It was still a shock when I read it, though. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I saw the scene. I'm like, oh my gosh, here it is, because I've read the comic, and then I didn't hear it the first time. I was like, oh, that was a missed opportunity. And I had to go back, and somebody say like, oh my, like the first comes like, oh my God, did you hear that? They said, where are they? And I re-listened to it. I'm like, oh, this will be amazing.
Creepy.
Don't mess this up.
I know. Right. A couple other things. We saw Jerry kissing someone, which is cool. I had actually told the actor, I forgot his name, but that Cooper Andrews, that I was like, oh man, can Jerry get a love interest? So it looks like that's happening. And then we see Daryl and Carol kind of snuggling up at one point, which is kind of nice.
It looked like they were sharing a tent. I'm curious if the dude that he beats up is maybe Carol's like new beau, and like he walked in on it and like got pissed. Now we got a little like lovers quarrel going on.
Are you a Carol Daryl shipper, Sean, and kept this a secret from me?
I still think that they will never get together, but they might surprise us.
I don't buy it, but I know there's tons of people out there that disagree with me and want nothing more out of this show.
Aubrey wants it. Aubrey,
she does.
Yeah.
She gets so disappointed whenever I talk about how it's never going to happen. Sorry.
If they did it well, I guess I'd be all right. And then there's stuff with Jadis. It looks like she might be an antagonist too. She's on her walkie-talkie at one point with the helicopter floating above, so it looks like she's talking to them. And at one point, there's a dude with a knife to Carol's throat. So I don't know. Look, I'm intrigued for sure. I'm ready to go for that.
I wonder if they're going to kind of come out like guns blazing, and like you said, where they kind of learn their lesson. So it's not going to be 6 episodes before we figure out what's going on. It'll happen right away.
I doubt it. I bet you they'll draw it out, but I just hope not. I would be pleasantly surprised. I mean, I still think that it was great the way they handled Terminus, even though there's a part of me going, no, I want more of him because he was so good. But that's the problem is you want to leave them wanting more, and then they're going to want more. But if you don't leave them wanting more, then they're going to wish that you had.
Exactly.
So it's better to leave people like wanting more than tired of somebody.
Is this not over already?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe they could find a middle ground. Maybe Terminus was a little too short, but man, All Out War was too long. I agree with you about that. All right, let's move on to Fear the Walking Dead trailer for the second half of season 4. I think I might have mentioned this before. I'm completely disappointed that they seem to have just kind of said, nah, we don't like the way this show was, so we're going to kill people off and just start a whole new show, basically. But I'm going to turn that around and
that
just
doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, that like with Fear the Walking Dead, when the new showrunners came along, and Madison's killed and Nick's killed. I mean, that was by his own choice, but I think it still was tied into the new showrunners. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're really doing Strand the way that he is before, and they're focusing on these new characters. I think they're just like, no, we need to shake this up and not really, pay any attention to anything that's come before. And especially the Madison thing really got me. But, we got to move forward. So on the positive side, I do think that there are some really great things about the new direction of the show. The new characters are really compelling, especially John Dory and Morgan on there is great. And they got new cinematographers in, and it's just beautifully shot. And I think the storytelling, I mean, it had some problems, but it has some promise too. So I'm just thinking of this as, okay, we have a new zombie show now with some characters that we know, but it's new. It's not the Fear the Walking Dead that we used to know. And I'll give it a chance with that perspective in mind.
So as the crossover work, this is a show I haven't watched yet. I think I've seen like a season and a half of it. And it was kind of where I kind of fell off, and I think season 3 it really picked up. But with the crossover they did, has that worked, or has that felt more like a gimmick?
I think I wouldn't say. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, the crossover element basically is that Morgan went there, right? Yeah. And the thing that makes it feel a little sketchy to me is when Morgan left, he was in his crazy, almost craziest mode. Not quite as crazy as we've seen him, but pretty close, maybe 8 on the scale of 1 to 10 Morgan craziness. And very quickly, once he got over to fear, he just reverted back to his like total peace.
All life is precious.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill anyone, because and it just felt like, well, the showrunners like that version of him best, so that's what they're going to use. And it didn't. I mean, I'm sure listeners will argue that the story made it make sense, but I felt like it was pretty abrupt shift. And he's already, we were complaining that he was going back and forth so much. So that part of it seemed a little weird. And also, Morgan hasn't been a huge part of the story since he's been back, but
yeah.
I think that's going to change now. I think he's going to be a bigger part of it.
Madison and Nick are both gone, so he can kind of, he along with the rest of the new cast that we were introduced to this season, along with, we have some newcomers that have come along in some supporting roles, it looks like. I'm guessing supporting. So yeah, I think that he's probably going to have more of a part. So I hope it looks a little bit different than what it did. I have the hope. I'm not quite there with you yet in that open-mindedness. I am still reeling from Madison being gone, because I'm a huge Kim Dickens fan.
Yeah, and knowing that she didn't want to leave the show really drove the knife in the back. Yeah,
I was very much disappointed, because I had just seen her in Nashville at Walker Sucker Con over the summer, and I was just like fangirling all over her. And that was when the whole thing was, is Madison dead? Is she alive? Where is she? We're not seeing her. We're only seeing her in flashbacks. What happened? And I was just like, you better not be dead, because and so I'm going over this whole spiel with her, and the poor woman was just like, you're just gonna have to watch and find out. And I was like, you knew the entire time. You couldn't tell me. I was so heartbroken and disappointed, and I'm still not over it. I had such high hopes for this show, because season 3 was so great. I've watched it since the beginning, but season 3 was, I thought, really great and had picked up really well. So I don't know. I really like John Dory. He's my favorite out of all the new characters that we've been introduced to. And I have hope that he can bring me back in. And I mean, I'm going to watch it and try it out, but I don't know if I'm as open just yet. I probably still need some time to get there. I know I'm being a big old baby about it, but I don't care.
Yeah, I think it starts August 12th. So
yeah,
you got like a little less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just hope, I don't want my negative attitude to hopefully we'll get open by that point, and I'll watch it with an open mind and then make judgment whenever I watch it. And I hope that I'm not still, pissed whenever it starts in that, kind of color my view on it.
Yeah. Yeah. That shift in thinking really did help me. I feel like, okay, fine. Years ago, 10 years ago in comics, J. Michael Straczynski, who was the writer on Babylon 5, was writing Spider-Man, and Mary Jane and Peter Parker were married. And it was interesting to me to see how they did that story. And he did it with a lot of heart, and I just really liked it. I was enjoying it a lot. And then the powers that be at Marvel decided that Spider-Man shouldn't be married because it was, I don't know, stunting the story potential or something. I don't know if they thought they were going to have him be dating a bunch of superheroes or something, but they told him, okay, end the marriage somehow. So they came up with this story where Mephisto comes in and like causes something back in time to happen to where they don't actually get married, but they always like subconsciously will remember that they were married, so that they'll be kind of subconsciously suffering, and that's Mephisto's revenge against Spider-Man or something like that. It was just horrible. And
that's messed up.
And when they did that, they also replaced the writer. That was Straczynski's last issue. They got new writers in. All of a sudden, Peter Parker was drawn younger. He wasn't married, and it was a different tone, but it was still the same comic. And to me, and the new writers really wanted you to enjoy what they were doing. Of course, they didn't want people to be bummed out about them coming on, but a lot of people were pissed and bummed, and I was one of them. And it totally reminds me of Fear the Walking Dead, because at the time I felt like, you know what, my story ended, but you're pretending like it's still going on, and it didn't. It's over. Like, this is something totally different and new, and I wish you would have just said, I don't know what I wish, but it just felt like, they pulled the rug out from under me and told me, no, everything's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. You ended my story, that there was no ending.
Well, isn't that? I think that's what frustrates me a little bit. Is because like when you talk about Spider-Man, like that's kind of like I think of like Looney Tunes and things like that. Like, you drop into a Looney Tunes episode, you know what you're getting. You're getting Bugs Bunny and all this other stuff, but it's a completely independent story. The same characters but different stories. Whereas with like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, this is just the story. Like you're not getting season 6 with a different Rick Grimes with a different story. It's just this is the timeline, this is the story, and you're kind of getting thrown into that where it's like they're trying to do both things but not successfully, maybe, or not. It's not like the right place for it.
I mean, with sense. Fear, the problem was that the ratings were going down, and they had decided before season 3 even aired that was going to be Dave Erickson's last season, and they were going to get new people in there. And they kind of rushed season 3 out. They had the first 2 episodes out on the same night and the last 2 on the same night. So they were kind of just like, let's get this over with so we can get to the new stuff. And season 3 turned out to be damn good, I thought, and differentiated itself from The Walking Dead in ways that made me want to watch 2 zombie shows and not be sick of it. And so then it was harder to let go of it. And now Scott Gimple went over to Fear, and I'm like, oh, they're going to just make it the same, and we don't need the same, we need different. And now it turns out I think the ratings are either the same or even lower than they were in season 3. So I don't know if their gambit really paid off, bringing more. But I understand. Kind of like, oh, well, look, the ratings are going down, we better do something. So I don't know. It used to be back in the day that they would let a show breathe and find its audience, and they don't have any patience for that anymore.
Well, the audience doesn't have patience for that because there's, like Sean was saying, there's already a ton of other new shows that are so great and good right now. Or the new shows that are getting a lot of buzz. That if it's not getting your attention like right now, we don't have time for it. Just drop it and move on to something else.
I think maybe Fear though there were enough people watching that loved season 3 that maybe they should have waited and seeing if word of mouth would have spread. Like, no, you got to come back to it. Because I saw so many people saying that, and I was one of them. And our listeners who came back to it, almost every one of them said, oh, you're right, it's so much better. Except for Rebecca. She was like, no, I don't like it still.
Well, you can't win them all. But there were a lot of people that came back that dropped it in season 1 or 2. And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, you need to come back. And at least, if nothing else, at least come back and watch season 3. And it got people so stoked. It brought people back around. I haven't kept up on the ratings for Fear, so I'm not sure about that. But I know a lot of people did come back and then, jumped into season 4 after watching 3 and coming back to it. So, I mean, I wish they had kind of kept up with that just a little bit.
I wish they would have given him one more season to see. Well, what about the trailer? I mean, I thought it was not horrible, but it wasn't super exciting. It was just kind of focusing on each one of the characters: John, Dory, June, Morgan, Alicia Strand, Charlie, who killed Nick, and Althea. There was a storm like sweeping the Zeds around, and
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was a little wacky seeing like a zombie get sucked backwards, but I mean, that would probably realistically happen.
Hurricane, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a hurricane or like a tornado, which, I mean, they're, I'm guessing, still in Texas, right? They were in Texas last season, or for the beginning of season 4, and this is the second half. So, I mean, there are tornadoes in Texas, and there are times that tornadoes can kind of come ashore. I don't know if they're in the same part, but you can kind of come inland a little bit. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I think that we haven't really seen a lot of weather elements. I mean, weather doesn't go away because it's a zombie apocalypse. There's still... Yeah. Weather to deal with. So I thought it was really funny to see Zeds being sucked in.
Well, I think in season 2, lightning struck a zombie on Fear the Walking Dead, and some of the listeners thought that was so stupid, but I thought it was awesome.
Well, weather doesn't go away. Storms don't stop happening, and weather doesn't stop happening just because you're in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. I guess... Sean, you're not really caught up. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I mean, it seemed, again,
think?
it was like last year's where it got me kind of like, I want to see it. It seems like they're kind of playing on a lot of the same themes as The Walking Dead. So it seems like it's kind of
Yeah.
Walking Dead Light, which, like you had mentioned, the previous season seemed like it was something completely different, just a completely different theme. So hopefully it goes to that. I need to get caught up on it, but as we talked, there are so many shows and just so little time that's one that's kind of fallen off my radar.
Yeah.
Now, if The Walking Dead was really good, I'd probably be like, oh, I want more, I want more. But with the struggle there, it's kind of like, I don't want to waste another hour.
And you're right about the themes. Like when someone, I don't know who it was saying, I know who you really are and I know what you're really capable of. I'm like, God, how many times have we heard that on Walking Dead? And Luciana later says, I don't know what to fight for. And then John Dory says, well, if we don't believe that things will get better and that we can make them that way, then we're no different than the past. And I'm just like, yawn.
Waiting for somebody to be like, I believe in blank blank.
Yeah. John Dory.
Exactly. I do like John Dory though. I think he's adorable, and I think he's kind of funny. I like that the opener had him in it where he looks like he's crafting some sort of makeshift raft or something. And there's this walker kind of slugging around in the mud and the shallow water, and he's just like, ugh, I hate the wet ones.
And there was one point in the trailer where he had both guns blazing.
Yeah, when he had both his guns.
He's gunslinger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that
Sean,
too.
this is a great character. He's much different than anything we've seen in, I think, either show, because he's kind of a sensitive guy and kind of like an old cowboy. But when he's got his guns blazing, he's totally like Dark Tower gunslinger.
Was he the dude building the raft? Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because when I caught that, I was like, that's a dude I'd like pay to watch.
Yeah, John Dory's a really good character. He was for me kind of made up for some of the crap that I didn't like in the first half of season 4, and he's probably what will help me. And maybe the other characters. I am kind of intrigued by some of these newer characters that we don't know yet that have been introduced. I'm kind of John Dory was the only one out of last season that I'm kind of, the beginning of the season that we saw.
Althea?
That is really. I mean, kind of, yeah. I do like her to a bit, but I want to just know about her already. I feel like I'm done with the mystery. I'm ready to just kind of have her spill her beans.
And she kind of has that shtick about getting everyone's story that I think could get old fast.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to know a little bit more about her. But I do like her. I thought she was intriguing at first, but then I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of over you because it's just, you're kind of a one note at this point. But John Dory, I thought, had a lot of heart and character, and we got, I thought he was kind of well rounded. I thought they really fleshed him out really well. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm still gonna, try to watch with a positive attitude. I'm gonna repeat that to myself and see, but it looks like they're still hanging with some of the cinematography. I don't know if they're going to do those flashbacks or anything, but the cinematography looked really great.
One thing I really hope is that they get away from going back and forward in time. Like I feel like we've had enough of that, and I'm sick of it. Right?
Yeah, and I don't know that there's really any reason to, now that we've kind of wrapped up the story of what happened after the dam blew up and they were separated but then came back together, and then we found out what happened to Madison and what happened to that story, and we got those flashbacks in the current time. I thought it was kind of well done, but I was kind of tired of it at that point. So, but it looks like the cinematography that they had is still kind of there, and I do like that. I think that's interesting. And I still like the general feel of it, but I don't know, we'll see if it wins me over and I keep watching.
It seems like they're trying to make it a little lighter, which I think is great, and I think Karen would too. Like when this was just the trailer, but they said redemption, reunion, and then they had refreshment, and they're drinking drinks, but it's also about refreshing the series. But also when those new characters, there's one in a wheelchair, I think, and there's this like woman with a baseball hat on, and she's got a knife, and then Morgan knocks it out of her hand and then twirls his shovel around a couple more times, and there's a little bit of a pause, and then she just kind of adjusts her hat. I don't know, that moment seemed kind of funny, so it
seemed like a D&D where it's like, you look trustworthy, you may join our party.
Yeah. Or whenever they're in the truck, her and this other fella, and he's like, that was half a point, and she's like, what? That was clean, like knocking out Zeds and stuff. I thought that was kind of funny.
That's like what do you call it? Zombieland moment or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
zombie kill of the week.
right.
And Morgan has when he has I lose people, I lose my self on his forehead. I kind of like that too. It's so Morgan to write something like that on his forehead.
Like he's writing on the walls in that schoolhouse in Clear.
So that felt like, oh, they're getting Morgan right there. That's good.
Yep. I have no walls to write on. I'm going to write on my forehead.
Yeah, I got to write something on my forehead. I don't know what. Any suggestions, listeners? Just let me know. Okay, let's move on. I have a couple more Walking Dead things. I do want to talk a little bit more about Andrew Lincoln leaving The Walking Dead, and I was going to report on it, but I decided why not just play what he said at Comic-Con. So here is him talking about it for the first time publicly. This is like 3.5 minutes, but I think you guys will find it interesting. So here we go.
Get my tissues.
But look, I want to say something because there seems to be an elephant in the room in Comic-Con, and I think many of you may be wanting to ask a question about whether or not this is my last year. Is that true? Now, I did a zombie poll 2 weeks ago, and there were 200 zombies, and I asked them, I said, I'm probably going to get asked a question, do I confirm or do I deny? Fortunately, that problem was taken away from me by this man.
You pointed at Kirkman.
This will
I'm
be...
very sorry, Andrew.
No, I love you. This will be my last season, playing the part of Rick Grimes. Now hear me out, please. I love this show. It means everything to me. I love the people who make this show. I promise not to cry. I've done enough crying on screen. This is, I'm particularly fond of the people who watch the show.
Yes.
You people. And this has been the most extraordinary, amazing, and beautiful experience of my career, and made largely because of you guys and the relationship we have here with you and with you in this room, and also in rooms across America and the rest of the world. So I just want to thank you, and I don't want this to turn into an Oscar acceptance speech or an obituary. This is not the point of it. What I want to do is, as you've seen the trailer, we're deeply, deeply proud of the work that we've done this season. I think Angela is astonishing and leading with such class and a light deftness of touch. And it's enabling us as actors to really breathe and deepen the relationships on screen, which we're sort of... I'm talking too much, aren't I?
No, you're not.
Am I talking too much?
No.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah, he's right. I am going to do. But I suppose what I wanted to say is that my relationship with Mr. Grimes is far from over.
Yeah.
And a sort of large part of me will always be a machete-wielding, Stetson-wearing, zombie-slaying sheriff's deputy.
Yes.
From London, England.
Yes.
And you know, what a thing, guys. What a thing. I'm really, really, really excited about this season. I think there are 2 episodes that, for me, are my favorite episodes since the pilot. And I also just want to commend all of these amazing actors and everybody, the rest of the cast. I think they're doing the greatest work I've ever seen. And this has always been an ensemble, and it will continue to be an ensemble. And no one is bigger than the story, and the story this year is unbelievable. So, is that enough? Do you want to hear any more about the thing? Or should we talk about this season?
Let's talk about the season.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That's sad. When I first started this podcast, the second episode, I went down to Comic-Con to see their first panel, and he was there with, John Bernthal and Sarah Winkowski and everybody. And now here's probably the last one with Andrew Lincoln.
Can't talk about it anymore.
And Watching Dead, the Bald Move Walking Dead podcast that ended recently, their art, it has always been just the promotional photo of the cast from season 1, and it didn't have Carol or Daryl on it because they were, I guess, secondary characters at that point. So it had Shane and Rick and Carl and Amy and Andrea and Dale and Glenn, I think. And as each one of those characters died off, they like graded out because it was in color. So you could see as time went on, their podcast art changed. And so when they quit recently, a few months ago or so, the only one left was Rick. And now if they had kept going, then I wonder if they would have changed their podcast art or...
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I should ask him that. Anyway, he also said, by the way, because I've always been curious, what is Andrew Lincoln going to do after this? I want to see. And he said right now he just plans to take a break from acting for a while and, you know, be with his family and everything. But he said, there are a couple things I'm thinking about doing, but I'm so in love with Rick Grimes and the people in this show that I don't know if I can put him down yet. So it sounds like he's just going to, he doesn't have any plans and he's going to take it easy for a while with his family, which I think is great. And I guess
probably sleep.
Yeah, take a break, man.
Yeah, it's definitely well deserved for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He really does put everything into that character. I mean, if you believe nothing else, whether you like where the show has been, whether you like the writing or whatever seasons, you know, that you liked and didn't like, you could never, ever doubt that Andrew Lincoln ever puts anything less than 110% in his performance and gives it his all every single time in every single scene. And that man definitely deserves a break. I don't fault him. I mean, it makes me terribly sad. It really does. But I mean, I can't blame him. It's been 9 seasons and you can only ask so much from people, especially when they have a family. And so, I mean, it's definitely well deserved. And there's no one like it. It's going to be terrible though.
I know.
I might need a break myself. I don't know.
That's, when I said, I posted on our Facebook page, Andrew Lincoln confirms his exit from The Walking Dead. One of the listener comments, I forget who it was, but said, I would also like to confirm my exit from the show.
Yes. That was really clever. I thought, yep, ditto.
No, I'm in it for the long haul.
In the show, that's
I'm
why
going.
it hurts so much.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Over under 3 more seasons after he's gone?
I hope that it would go 1 more season, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went 2 or 3. Yeah.
I bet it would go at least a couple more just to wrap up the story the best that they can, because I don't even know. I know that it's we've talked more about Andrew Lincoln, but we haven't talked a lot about Maggie and Lauren Cohan. And
it should be ending right now. It really should. The show should be ending.
This should be
right
the
now.
last season.
Well, I have an item about her too. So on Entertainment Weekly, she talked about her big move. I guess it was a radio show that they did, because she's got this show on ABC that she's going to. So she's got a handful of more episodes too. She says, I'm grateful that this has been my stomping ground for so long and my family here is never gone. But they said, unlike Lincoln, she's not necessarily saying goodbye. It says, depending on the future and filming schedule of Whiskey Cavalier, her new show, she could return either a limited or full-time basis as soon as season 10. As the star told us herself, quote, Maggie's story is open-ended. I don't know if I believe that. That seems like a huge spoiler. And I know in the past they've often, when their character was about to die off, they've made it sound like it wasn't going to happen and then it did. So, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Maggie goes off to like explore new communities or something and we just don't see her and they leave it open-ended. Yeah.
We shall see.
All right. That is it for the trailers and everything like that. I want to talk about our first sponsor this week. I always feel so great when we get a new sponsor that I'm genuinely stoked about. And this one could be one of my favorites ever. I mean, this product that I'm about to tell you about, I've been curious about for a long time and wanted them to sponsor us. Now, finally, we have them as a sponsor, and I'm stoked because I got to try it and I love it. And it's called Eero, and you may have heard of them on another podcast. But what it is, well, first off, like doing this stuff, talking about TV shows and stuff like that, I stream a lot of video. And I have the kind of house that is long and not like square, but more like a rectangle. And my my router is in the back and my TV's in the front. So it used to be that when I fire up Netflix, sometimes it would take forever to start. It would look all pixelated, or it would stop, right at, like in the middle, and then wouldn't start up, or would take forever to start. This product, what it does is it replaces your Wi-Fi router with a different router and then little pods that you put in other parts of the house. And I got one router that's in the back and then 2 little pods, and it blankets your house with Wi-Fi so that you have good reception everywhere. So now when I start up my Netflix, it starts right up. It's beautiful, high definition, detailed, no interruptions. It's awesome. And I love it. And I use this thing called speed test, so you can tell what your throughput is. And it's many times better in certain parts of the house where it used to be bad. It's now like a fire hose. So how's your Wi-Fi? Do you get great reception all around your house? If you're still using one of these single Wi-Fi routers, there's a good chance you don't. And what you need is this distributed system called Eero. I got the box. The packaging was nice, which I always appreciate. The little pods are attractive. They're white and they look like kind of like an Apple product. They're small and they're slick with this curved surface, and they're pretty unobtrusive. They're really easy to set up. The app totally walks you through every little detail of it, and it's not hard, but it tells you exactly what to do when, and you tell it how many rooms you have, and it shows little illustrations giving you suggestions of where to place these things. And then once you place it and it starts up, it tells you, oh yeah, that's good, you placed it well. Or I mean, it did that both times with me, so I don't know what would probably say try again if you didn't put it in the best place.
You should take one to your backyard and see what it says.
Yeah, it's like, loser, you messed up.
Try again.
Whatever your Wi-Fi needs are, Eero has the power to seamlessly blanket your home in fast, reliable Wi-Fi via Ethernet, wireless, or any combination. You just put it in a flat surface or plug it in with a power adapter for increased speed and range with powerful tri-band radios. With the addition of a third 5 gigahertz radio, the second generation Eero is now tri-band and twice as fast as its predecessor, which lets customers do more in every room of their home simultaneously. And with the addition of a new thread radio, Eero can now connect to low power devices such as locks, doorbells, and other sensors. Meanwhile, Eero Beacon is half the size, but it's even more powerful than the original Eero. Whichever model you choose, with Eero's incredible customer support, you can call and get hold of a Wi-Fi expert within 30 seconds. Yeah, so every part of my experience with this thing has just been a joy. And now that I have it set up, I don't have to think about it, and it just works all over the place, and it's great. So for free overnight shipping in the US or Canada, you visit Eero.com and select overnight as the shipping option, then enter Deadcast at checkout. That's EERO.com with offer code Deadcast at checkout. Thank you, Eero. Yeah, great. All right, now we're going to get on to the second part of our show, which is stuff at Comic-Con. I thought we would do what we did last year, just take turns going through a couple of our favorites. I'm 100% sure that Sean would like to talk about Aquaman.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I knew he was going to pick Aquaman.
It was definitely on my list of things. There was a different DC movie that had me excited, but when you have frickin' Jason Momoa, how can you not just be super pumped? This is a dude that can do, oh yeah, he can do just about anything, and like he shows up on screen. Like we just mentioned Justice League, and like how like that was kind of a thud, but